Some nights, I go walking, wandering into the night with the machinations of Big Man Briggs whispering in my ear. It's good stuff. It's true stuff. It all happened. I walk as I find myself more invested in a story when I'm headed somewhere. But this time, it's more than that. I'm searching for someone. And then, as if summoned by the passing suggestion, I see him. It's Father. Lizard Father. No, not just Lizard Father. It's the Father. I look into the eyes of my creator, but I find no answers. Why did you create us? Are you proud, Father? No. How could he be? Humans were invented by a Silurian. Woo! Got a doozy today! Sorry, I don't know what that weird intro was. Things haven't been going so good at home lately. Have you listened to Blood Tide? Because I hadn't until last week, but blimey. How did I do 25 episodes of a mini-series about bizarre Doctor Who lore, and nobody told me that a Silurian invented the human race? I'm listening to Blood Tide in the middle of this big open field in the dark, and okay, number one, I was kind of scared. That's kind of a scary story. But mostly, I just knew I was sitting on a gold mine. Am I just late to this party? Am I the only one who didn't even think to mention that the Silurians invented man and you and I? A rogue experiment on the ape species outside their cities. The chief scientist Tulok was exiled from his home to go and live on the surface with his man apes. This genetic engineering begun as a mutation to make the humans taste nicer, but ended up increasing their breeding cycle and their intelligence. And in that we found modern man. We are a lizard man fuck up. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm feeling very existential right now as is. But it doesn't help that human civilization is just nothing but the result of alien interference at every single turn. Did we do anything by ourselves? There's like 3 species who created our planet in the first place. Vengeful against his own people and loving of his new creations, his children, his baby boys, Tulok decided to sabotage the hibernation chambers of the Silurians, wiping them out almost entirely. The ancient Silurians thought that the moon was about to crash into the earth, meaning they wouldn't have to worry about all those pesky things on the surface. But for all their achievements that we're so often told about, they get pretty much every scientific deduction wrong. I'm just saying, they don't deserve the surface. Human race, human race. Anyway, Tulok woke up, met Charles Darwin, and helped form the now confusing, honestly, idea of human evolution. So yeah, look upon your one true god, the one true religion, Tulok, who has scales and looks like this. Then, at the same time, I also happened to be listening to the Unbound series, where an alternate history version of Tulok was woken up by the Valiard, where he just let him take control of Earth. Massive coincidence. I always seem to get very lucky with my viewing order. These Matrix segments, they just fall into my lap. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. Number 2, the Master's daughter. The Master had a daughter. Why is it weirdly off-brand for the Master to have a family? Sure, he's been a son and a husband, but begrudgingly, as a goof. Sure, the Master's had a long life, but if he ever rocked up with a kid, you just assume it was part of a stunt by a panto villain up to hijinks. But in the Poetry Prose collection, Now We Are 600, the one that said 13 was an assassin, which for some reason the Not My Doctors really latched onto, huh? James Goss and Russell T Davies present us with this image. Straight out of an EastEnders cliffhanger. Has Missy stolen a baby to prank her former selves, or has the Master actually just conceived? I don't have the answers. I bring this up as a segue to get to the real heart of the issue, the real question on everyone's minds, and that's this, bringing the potential prospect of the Doctor's possible ovaries into question. As floating around currently is the rumour Reddit leak that 13 will get impregnated by the Emperor Dalek in time for season 13.
Oh no, you're not filling me. If you're that desperate for it, here.
Shockingly, this is the kind of info you won't find on the wiki. Because frankly, they're fucking cowards. Pounded full of Emperor into that embryo.
The doctor is coming!
This is 90% certainly a meme from a shitposting group. But it's that 10% of possible uncertainty, that nervous potential of what this run in this show is currently capable of, is what's keeping you on your toes. That's what makes it hilarious. It could happen.
I'm pregnant.
I ate it. This thing grown inside me. I don't want it. It's not right.
And as a result, Peruvians can't sleep at night. And now, because of this, we have precedent. Imagine if the doctor got pregnant. Hey, I had my hesitations at first too, but this same page are also the ones that broke that 11 was actually a nonce, so technically their sources are yet to be proven false. Personally, I can't wait. Not only do I think that it should happen, I think that it must happen. Absolute cliff diving chaos mode. Let's test this show to breaking points. We are officially at that stage. Now yes, it might not officially be true that 13 is Davros's mum, yet, but I include it here because I think we all know it's as good as. Hey, fun fact, Moffat once joked that he was going to end tenure by revealing Missy was pregnant with the Doctor's child. A silly, potentially show-ruining prank of a cliffhanger that Rusty Davis and Moffat joked about so they could pass it off onto Chris. Write your way out of that one, Chibbers. That is, of course, if Chibnall actually knew or cared who Missy was. And the idea of a pregnant master, Moffat Davis's naughty little idea, lives on in the short work Winning, where 3 different masters panic at the idea of being the father. Now guys, you think the multi-doctor stories are masturbatory sausage fests? You should see the multi-master ones. Pure orgies. Really just terrible, despicable stuff. Disrespectful to the late Delgado. Ainsley is rolling in his grave. But in all seriousness, the Master really has had a daughter before, even outside of this comedy poem. She talks about her in The Witch's Familiar.
The doctor gave it to me when my daughter...
And then her solo series. All we do know is that the Master did not let her keep pets. Hypocrite. But basically, I could listen to Moffat teasingly allude to big secrets all day. And fact number 3. Everybody has written Shakespeare except Shakespeare. Now, I think it's safe to say the Bard would have more than one appearance in the Hooniverse over the years. It's shocking that it took till 2007 for him to appear in a TV adventure. That doesn't count. On your recommendation, I sat myself down with Time of the Daleks and The Kingmaker. Fucking loaded stories and so much to unpack, but let's try. The Kingmaker... Spoiler. Come on guys, the premise of this series is a spoiler machine. Is a insane comedy that relies on the premise of Shakespeare getting drunk with the Doctor, stowing away in the TARDIS, and then gathering alien weapons for 2 years to try and oust the ship from him. Why does Shakespeare want time travel? So he can try and change history from King Richard to fit his account of the play, rather than just, write an accurate adaptation. It's very Blackadder. The Doctor takes the real King Richard to see his own play, where behind the stage, King Richard and William Shakespeare dressed up as King Richard have a fight. Both of them run back to the TARDIS, where they are then ejected into the Battle of Bosworth, where King Richard was intended to die. Mistaken for the king in his costume, dying an unflattering death, crying and hiding up a tree. In 1485, 100 years before his birth. Oops. In 1597, King Richard, now avoiding his own death, takes the place of the Bard, meaning that Shakespeare and King Richard swapped places in history. History can be changed as long as the story stays the same. A pretty liberal GCSE history textbook approach to time travel, but it's a lot more fun. It seems in subsequent stories that the 9th and 10th Doctors have forgotten this adventure. Seems like a hard thing to just, forget. But that isn't the only case of somebody replacing Shakespeare. Sarah and the 4th Doctor covered up Christopher Marlowe's death so that he could become Shakespeare. In Byzantium, the first Doctor brags about collaborating with Shakespeare in writing Hamlet. A groat's worth of wit was the late Gareth Roberts' story before the Shakespeare Code. This shows us Robert Greene, another dissatisfied party, who feels that William Shakespeare, who is actually King Richard, but also maybe Christopher Marlowe, have plagiarised his works and stolen his career. In Time of the Daleks, the main concept is that Shakespeare has been removed from time, only to then find Daleks reciting Shakespearean soliloquies and sonnets. The Daleks are scholars of Shakespeare. This only makes sense though, of course, as in City of the Daleks, it's revealed that the Dalek Emperor himself wrote all of Shakespeare's works. Eventually, the 8th Doctor and Charlie find a young 8-year-old Shakespeare. In an unrelated paradox, completely not connected to the Dalek adventure, where he's living in the far future, hidden from the Daleks as they raid all of human history to try and find him. After this, young Shakespeare hangs around in the TARDIS as he and Charlie try to get him home. In this time they run into Vicky, I guess the inspiration for him later choosing to bring Troilus and Cressida to the stage? I don't know. Weird story. Anyway, apparently he also lives a second life in the City of the Saved, because who doesn't? And then he was eventually poisoned by Sir Walter Raleigh in 1616. Although, who the hell that Shakespeare in reality is, I have no clue. Thank you for watching! This was meant to be a short one, but then I went on that weird tangent where I spoke to the lizard father. Please donate to my Ko-fi, the Doctor is Davros' mum, and the next episode, a Halloween one, marks the ending of Series 1. And then I'm going to take a little break.